Welcome back. It's a Monday and hence time for some motivation. And we have a golden oldie here with us today. We have Mr. Fola Daniels Adeklesi. He's an international keynote speaker, training facilitator, and communications professional. Now, he's also the author of more than 20 published books. Can you believe it? 20. And there's even another one coming up, I hear. He's a business consultant, and he's also a master of ceremonies. He is one of our people on motivation today. Welcome back to the show.
I've not seen my ID card yet.
You should have a desk somewhere in the building.
Yeah, I should.
Welcome and Happy
Thank
New
you.
Year.
Same to you. It's good
All
to be
right,
here.
okay.
I'm so excited about this.
What? What's
know,
the best part? What's the best part? Tell me.
Should I say the studio? Should I say the gadgets?
Ooh.
Should I say the crane? Fantastic.
Oh.
You know, as I say in Yoruba land, Ile Oba Tojo, Ewa lo busi.
In fact.
Meaning that when the palace burns down,
Yeah.
it comes back better, bigger, more beautiful. And that's what has happened here. It's fantastic.
I'm so glad you saw how we've evolved.
Yes, I've seen
your
the evolution.
motivation and your conversations have also helped us along the way.
I'm happy.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So our topic today, all I can really think about is the analogy you're about to use.
Yes.
And I've often thought about the bamboo, the bamboo tree itself and how it grows. But I know you're going to take it away from there.
Yeah, fantastic. So we're talking about grow like a tree.
Yeah.
And the reason we're talking about growing like a tree is that when you look at trees generally, they first of all grow downwards before they begin to grow upwards.
Okay.
Most people today want to have an upward or external growth without a downward or internal growth. And when you check the tree, everything that the tree has comes from what is in the downward growth. The first thing that grows in a tree is the root of the tree.
Sure.
In the root, you have the stem, and from the root, everything the tree needs would go up into the branches or whatever part of the tree. The root of the tree takes food from the ground, takes water from the ground, takes strength from the ground, and then it will send it up to any part of the other tree, which is why if you cut down a tree, just like the Bible also tells us, at the scent of water, the tree will spring up again. Why is it that at the scent of water, the tree will spring up again? Is because you didn't cut off the roots.
Okay.
So long as the root is in the ground, any tree that you cut down will come back up again. So what does that tell us in real life? If you have external growth alone, anything happening around you can shake you down.
Sure.
If you have external growth alone, all the circumstances, all the challenges, take for example, there's increase in everything that you can think about in Nigeria, not just Nigeria, it's all over the world. If all of that is affecting you, then it means that all you have is just external growth. But when you have,
it's shallow.
It's shallow,
rooted.
exactly.
Okay.
But when you have internal growth, it means that you are deeply rooted in the ground, firmly rooted in the ground, like a tree. Now that brings me to the bamboo tree that you started with.
Yeah.
There's a species of bamboo tree that doesn't grow so tall for maybe like the first 5-6 years.
Okay.
It keeps growing roots downwards in those years or in those months.
5-6 years, that's a
Yes,
long
some.
time. Yeah.
There's another that does maybe just a few months, but it will keep growing roots downwards. But you see, by the time it starts growing up,
You can't stop it.
it's like a tornado. It just shoots out. And it's so fast. So no matter the storm, when the storm comes, it only bends, it doesn't break.
True.
So because it grows roots downwards, it can live up to 50 to 70 years according to research. And the reason it can do 50 to 70 years is because of the downward roots, the internal roots.
Well rooted.
Well rooted, that almost nothing can shake it away.
But you know that rooting is it's also a painful process.
It
you
is.
Know why?
It is.
Because the ground that
You
might be,
blend with the ground.
now the issue is, okay, even if you scatter seeds on soil and the soil is not fertile, for instance, if you're planted in the wrong place, right,
There will be no growth.
There won't be any growth. Growth downwards, growth upwards, nothing, because it's just not a favorable environment.
True.
So this is where I would love to talk about the fact that, okay, it's January, and some people have decided to do something fresh, start afresh, spread new seeds and grow new roots into something good. So what is your advice for those who are a little worried about the environment not being as fertile as they would like?
So that's the beautiful thing about trees. If you look at trees very well, trees don't just grow anywhere. Trees are also region specific or climate specific. There are some trees you can find in Africa. If you go to Europe, you would never find them. There are some trees you can find in the western part of the world, maybe like in the US or in the UK. You would never find them in Asia. And there are trees you can find in Asia that you would never find in Africa. The reason for them, or for that, is that the roots, the nutrients and everything that the roots need to thrive are in the soil of those continents. So one of the things you must understand as a person is to first of all identify the solid place for you before you begin to grow roots. If you don't identify the right place for you, some of you need to find a new industry to get into. Some of you need to find a new job, not because your job is not good, not because it's not paying well, but you're not finding fulfillment. If you're not finding fulfillment and you're just, as they say to some people, keep on keeping on. It's not everything that you keep on keeping on at.
Sometimes you need
Sometimes giving up is a strategy.
Wow.
I am one of the few people, one of the few motivational speakers that will tell you that giving up can be a strategy. And is a strategy that I have used a couple of times. It does not make sense to hang on to something that is not working. If it is not working, recalibrate. And recalibration may mean let go of certain things. Take, for example, even the tree that we're talking about. There's a season of the year that trees will shed all their leaves. And when they shed all their leaves, they come back fresh. If they don't shed those leaves, they would not grow.
Those dead leaves.
It's important to recalibrate. Anything that is not working, let it go. The job is not working, think of something else. Find a way to reinvent yourself. It may not be that particular, it could also still be that particular office, but in another industry. And I'll give you a quick example.
Department, maybe.
Yes, for example, somebody can be working in a bank, starts out as part of the operations department. And maybe you think this is not working for me. You've learned something new. You've taken some trainings. From operations, you can move to HR or learning and development. Some people have moved to corporate communications, or some people have moved to marketing. And the moment you start climbing the ladder, you are expected to be grounded. And to be grounded, you'll be moved around. So in moving around, you may now find what is your specialty. So it's important to try out something new. Don't stay in a particular place in that regard. Okay.
Now, I want to come back to something you talked about. You talked about the fact that some trees can grow on some continents and can't grow in other places. I also wanted to talk a bit about expectations of who we are as a nation. A lot of people compare us to the Western world and compare us to countries like the Netherlands. These are places that are well-rooted, that have had a longer time to grow. And we, I don't want to say we are shallow-rooted, but we've not really dug deep enough to expect that exponential growth that, the whole world is looking out for. And it goes to a conversation I started with Mike earlier on, expectations of people. I feel like people have very strong expectations also of themselves. And I think a lot of us put a lot of pressure on themselves. Maybe we need to adjust where we're putting the pressure, or what do you think?
You're very correct. And let me say this, it's unfair to say that we are not deeply rooted within the context of comparison with other nations, because no country in the real sense of creation was created after the other country. All countries were created at the same time. The only thing is that we evolved at different phases. And for example, in the corporate world, one of the courses that I facilitate in training is called Intra-Africa Trade. And it's a course that looks at how Africa used to trade within themselves and how we should be trading after colonialism. So there was pre-colonialism, there's post-colonialism. And the major issue that we found out is that before colonialism, we're buying things from ourselves, one African country to the other African country.
No issues.
No issues, and we spent more time dealing with ourselves. But immediately after colonialism, we started dealing with the Western world. It's now easier for African countries to deal with the Western world than it is to deal with other African countries. Now, what point am I trying to make there? Coming back to the issue of expectations, what we need to do is to adopt the Blue Ocean strategy.
Okay.
The Blue Ocean strategy tells you that when an area is densely populated, it may be too saturated for your strategy.
Wow.
Some people, the only thing that will work for some people is to exit places like Lagos.
You know what? I honestly, we're going to touch on this maybe in the coming weeks because we are going to be here throughout January, thankfully. There's still a lot to talk about, but where are you rooted and how well are you rooted in what you're doing? If it's not deeply rooted, there still might be a chance for you to start again somewhere else. And that's our motivational message for you this morning. Hopefully it is keying into something important this January. Thank you so much, Mr. Fola.
Pleasure.
We still have quite a bit more coming your way right here on Wake Up Nigeria. We're taking a break. Stay with us.